Hey YouTube, it's Haley. I have not made a video in a while. I'm sorry. I know it's been like 3 weeks since I made a video. I honestly have not even been that busy. I've been busy, but I've had time to make it. I've just been really lazy. So I'm sorry, but this is gonna be my 33, 34, and 35 week update. Today I'm recording this on Tuesday, so I am 36 weeks pregnant today. So I'll just recap you on the past few weeks, but honestly there was never like 1 week where there was a lot of different things, but now that I've waited 3 weeks, I have a lot to talk about. If you have liked our Facebook page, or if you follow the Instagram page that we have, then you will have seen that we went and got one more 3D ultrasound. I was 35 weeks and I think 2 days, and it was awesome. We saw Maxwell's whole face, so I'll show you a couple of those pictures real quick. He was sleeping, and then he didn't want to wake up, so I was like pushing around a lot on my belly, kind of rubbing, and I kind of found where his butt was, and I was kind of like rubbing his butt a little bit, trying to get him to wake up, and then he smiled real big. It was adorable. And then after that he kind of just went back to sleep, but we still got a couple more good pictures of his face. And you can see like his nose, his eyes, his mouth. It's awesome. But yeah, there's a lot more pictures if you want to go look on our Facebook page. I'll put a link to that in the bottom of the video in case you don't know where our Facebook page is, but I put up like a bunch of pictures from the ultrasound. There's one where like you can see his foot right up by his face and everything. The lady that did his ultrasound, the first thing that I asked when she started doing it, he's head down, right? Because I'm fairly positive that he's been head down for a while now, but I've never gotten a confirmation yet. At my last doctor's appointment that I went to 4 weeks ago, I had asked my doctor, but she said that she wasn't sure. So I asked about that, and she said yes. So I've finally gotten a confirmation that he was head down. Symptoms and stuff the past few weeks have been pretty much the same. Like I had said, how my ankles would be like my ankles and feet just swelling kind of like a little bit they had started. They're still at that stage where like they're not super bad, but I have noticed it a lot more lately, and it's a lot more annoying than it has been. But a new thing is hands. They are not super swollen on the palms at all, but like kind of like my fingers. If I go like this, it doesn't even feel that way right now, but occasionally, like if I'm going like this, it feels really like big. And it's to the point now where I've had to take off the wedding ring, but I had to take it off because I took it off. I was making gingerbread cookies and then I couldn't get it back on. So I thought that it was fine. I didn't think I was going to have to take it off for a while because it felt fine while it was on. But I guess once I took it off and it had time to kind of, you know, swell up a little bit, I couldn't get it back on. So that was sad. I feel naked without my rings, you know. Another thing is that at night when I go to get into bed, or just when I go to lay down or something, my back will just start to hurt. I lay down and then it just starts to hurt, but it's kind of like just relieved from laying down, I think. I think it just feels good laying down, and then it hurts because it's kind of like stretching out and relaxing and all that good stuff. I don't remember last time if I had talked about it, but I had been having a little bit of pelvic pain on this side of my body. And then recently, like my whole pelvis has been hurting. Like the past like week and a half now, I guess. My whole pelvis will just hurt. Like, but not all the time. It will be when I'm walking around or something. At nighttime, when I switch sides, when I roll to go from laying on my left side to laying on my right side, it will hurt. Whenever I go from, every single time that I go from sitting to standing, it will hurt. I'm so bad at describing how things feel, but I guess the way that I would describe it would be, you know, when you have a sore back or something, and when you go and stand up, then your back kind of hurts and you're hunched over a little bit and you feel like you have to kind of walk out the hunch before you can stand up straight. Well, that is exactly how it feels, but in the front on my pelvis. And when I stand up and I go from sitting to standing, I feel a little hunched over and I will walk it out, and then finally, like, it's still like hurting a little bit, but it's getting better. It's just normal pain, you know. I'm getting towards the end. That's just something that's gonna be there. Me and Rob, we both went to a labor delivery class at the hospital they'll be delivering at. So that was pretty cool. They just went over like everything that happens at the hospital, the way that they do things there. It was cool though because they showed every kind of tool and talked about it and passed it around so that we could all see it and hold it. So like something that they said is not used very often anymore, but they passed around anyways to show is forceps, which are extremely scary looking. But they showed, oh my gosh, I have such bad pregnancy brain that I'm blanking this. I can't remember what it's called, but I called it the baby plunger. And it was like little suction cups, so it's like a circle, and then it has like a hand pump, and they could put it on the baby's head and pump it so that it's suctioned to the baby's head and use it to kind of help the baby along out. And then there was just the regular baby monitor that they put on the outside of your belly to monitor the baby's heartbeat and stuff, and like any contractions or whatever. But they also showed 2 different kinds of internal fetal monitors. One was a kind that they just insert into the cervix, and it kind of like sits in there with the baby, and it would like monitor better for if they couldn't get a reading on the outside. The other internal monitor that they showed was completely freaky and scary looking, and it was kind of like a rod, and the same as the other one that like goes in there, but it doesn't just sit in there with the baby on the top. It looked like, you know, a clicky pen, how it has the spring on the inside. If you ever broke one open or like looked on the inside, it has the little spring. Well, it looked like it had that on the end, and they said if they were to want to use that one, they would screw the top spring part into the baby's head. They would insert it in and screw it into their head. Obviously, any of these tools, they would tell me if they were going to use and ask if like I wanted them to use it, and I was like, yeah, I really don't want them screwing anything into Maxwell's head. And then it was funny, I was talking to my mother on the phone, and she was telling me that when she was in labor and going to deliver me, they wanted to use that on me, and she told them no. She was like, no, you can't do that. But I'm thinking it probably is fine, like it wouldn't do anything. Like they said, like, oh, it's completely safe, it doesn't do anything, it leaves a little mark. It's just used to, you know, monitor the baby. They could, I don't know, I just wouldn't want them screwing that into the top of Maxwell's head. I just don't think I'd be comfortable with that. Those are basically like all the tools that they showed, but then they had an anesthesiologist come in and they showed a whole video about the whole process of epidurals and other possible drugs that are offered during labor. They talked about the pros and cons, side effects and everything of each one of them, and then an anesthesiologist that actually works there at the hospital came in, talked a little bit about like the same thing that we saw in the video already, and then they passed around like, well, they had the epidural needle there that you could go ahead and go up and look at the needle and the whole catheter that goes into your back through the needle and everything. And it was helpful. Like, I'm glad that I got to see it all, but it really did just reassure me, in my opinion, that I really do not want to get any type of drugs or use the epidural at all. I know that lots of people do, it's fine, but it's just something that I would prefer not to do. Even more so after learning more about it. But basically after that they just talked about our hospital's protocols and stuff. And it's so weird, like I was getting really freaked out the whole time that we were talking about in the class, all these security measures, but I mean, it's not because they've had a lot of babies stolen there or anything, but you just want to have those precautions in place. So it makes me feel really safe, you know. It makes you a little bit scared because it's not something that has been on my mind at all. You think about so many things like when you're about to have the baby, but I never like once before that class had the thought of like, oh, what if somebody tried to steal a Maxwell from the hospital? I think every hospital does this, but with the bracelets that they put on the baby, they'll put a bracelet on Maxwell's wrist and ankle that says that he's me and Rob's baby, and then me and Rob will also have a bracelet that says the same information. But this hospital, the whole entire labor delivery ward and where you stay postpartum is locked. None of the doors are open ever, they're always locked. You have to pick up a phone and talk to the people at the front desk and tell them what you're going in for. So that's great that nobody can just walk in and out of there. That's a great security factor. Another thing is that anyone who works in that ward has a different kind of name badge, and only people who work in that ward have a badge that looks the way that it does, and they let all the patients know that. So if a doctor is up there and is saying like, oh, I need to take your baby to go do this or something, and you notice like, hey, they don't have the right name badge that everyone on this ward has, then you would be like, no, I do not want to give my baby to that person. Another thing that they do too is that like every baby is given a tracking device on them and has a little sensor that they ace bandage to their ankle, and the people that work there, they're sitting in a room and they can see where every baby is on the floor, and they can always see like if he's moving from room into the hallway into where. And this sensor, if the baby is taken near any exit door, they do not open. If you go near that door or like anything, it locks and it will not open. And then the only way to do it is if you get, the permission from the people to open it. So all of those things make me feel really great. It's something I've never thought about until now. Like, really, like, I don't know. I suppose it's something that you would think about after you have the baby, but it's never been a main concern of mine. But now I'm just like, wow, I feel really great hearing like all that stuff going on there. So that's really good. Another thing that I did was yesterday I went to the hospital and I pre-registered. I filled out a bunch of paperwork, medical history about like me and Rob a little bit, and then like preferences that we have while we're there, and any consent forms that we had to sign for anything. Just a bunch of stuff like that, and that's stuff that if I hadn't done now, then when I went into labor, I would have to be doing that while I'm in the hospital in labor. And so it's just one less thing, now I can just, they'll probably still have a bunch of questions to ask me that day. For the most part, the main chunk of that stuff is done, and it's just one less thing to worry about. So if you are having a baby or something, I would totally recommend asking your hospital if that's something that they do. But I guess sometimes you don't have enough time to do it before you go in labor. It could happen anytime, but if it's something that you can do, I would recommend doing it. The only thing is, like at my hospital, I think it would be that way everywhere, is that the papers that you sign are only good for 30 days. After 30 days, they expire from your consent and you would have to sign them again. So the very last thing that I'll talk about is that I had a doctor's appointment today. I'm 36 weeks today, and she asked me if I wanted her to do an exam and see how like my cervix is doing and everything, and I said yes. And it was funny because she seemed surprised, and I was like, yeah, I want to know how everything's doing. I am super curious and I want to know how everything's moving along. So as far as like effacement, cervical thinning, the doctor went ahead and gave me the exam, and she said that I am 20 to 25% effaced. So that is pretty cool. Effacement is cervical thinning, and it's the process basically where the cervix prepares for delivery. The baby is engaged in the pelvis and then gradually drops closer to the cervix. And then the cervix gradually softens and shortens and gets thinner. So effacement is measured in percentages. She said I'm like about 20-25% effaced. So like if somebody was 50% effaced, that would mean they're halfway effaced. They're almost 100%. And then when you're 100 and you're completely effaced, that means your cervix is paper thin. Labor is right around the corner. And then as far as dilating, she said that right now she can currently fit one finger into the cervix. One finger is 1 centimeter dilated. But you know, like all of these things, I don't know. I'm still excited. I'm excited about both of these things, but dilating, effacement, none of that means that it's a sign of labor or that labor's coming really soon. These things could be going on for a while, but it's still nice to know that they're getting started already, you know, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, I could be pregnant for the full 4 more weeks, or if I went past due date, I could be pregnant even more. But as far as opinions, you know, like I asked my doctor, well, what is your opinion? And all she said was, she said, Maxwell seems to be moving along perfectly, like right on schedule, and everything seems to be right where it should be. And then she said, I don't have all the answers and everybody is different, so you could go home today and start contracting for all I know. It could happen anytime, but she didn't say that, you know, she has any predictions of any sort to give, so. But yeah, so it's exciting, you know. I feel, not for any, I don't know why, like there's no particular reason at all, but I feel that he will be earlier than his due date. So I'm just excited. I'm ready. I have things ready here at the house. I'm ready. I am so done being pregnant. I am uncomfortable. I can't sleep. And I'm done being pregnant. But I just want to see him. I'm like, you could come right now. Right now's good. He would be a healthy baby if he was born right now, I think. I'm like, you could be born right now. It's okay. Come on. So, I don't know. I'm ready for him to be born. I want to meet him. And we'll see when that happens. Hopefully soon. Everybody should hope for me. Say, I hope that Haley gives birth to Maxwell soon. So we'll just see when that happens. Yeah, that's all I have for you this week. So I guess I will show you the belly. There's the front. Big old belly. It still feels bigger. Not even every week, just every day it feels bigger. And belly button has still not like done a crazy pop. It's just really stretched out, which was surprising to me because it always felt like it was gonna pop. I don't feel it so much anymore, but up until a little bit past 30 weeks pregnant, it always felt like I had a lot of stretching going on the inside, like it was going to. And there he is. All right, I will see you guys next time. Bye.